This is a Scream Queen production. I'm Jenn Carpenter, and this is So Dead Podcast. Happy Taco Tuesday, Deadheads. Are you guys surprised to hear me in your headphones during an off week? So here's the thing. This whole bi-weekly episode thing hasn't really been sitting well with me. I miss you guys too much during the off weeks. At the same time, especially right now, weekly episodes researched and told with the time and attention to detail that you guys deserve just is not a feasible thing. Alas, a compromise. Taco breaks! These will be shorter episodes that cover a range of topics that aren't typically covered on So Dead. Current events, out-of-state stories, gasp. Basically anything that can be told quickly and makes for good lunchtime listening while you're eating those reheated tacos in the office break room. For our first taco break, we are going to discuss the internet. The internet. A dirty, worldwide cesspool of lies and deception and fake news, and yet we love it and we couldn't function without it. Tell me something though, guys. Do you always fact check the things that you reshare on social media? It is so important. It's easy to see something funny or interesting or shocking and hit that share button, but that's how misinformation spreads. And I think there's enough of that out there right now in the world, don't you? I recently reshared a post on the So Dead Facebook page that definitely sounds a lot more like an urban legend than true crime. A lot of people weren't sure whether or not to believe it, and yet they shared and shared away. So today, I thought we'd talk about that post and the true story behind it. It's the story of the Erdington Murders, and the story circulates on social media probably every 6 months or so. It goes like this. 2 women, born on the same day but 157 years apart, died on the same day. They both met with a friend, put on a new dress, went to a dance, and met their killers. They were both killed the same way in the same spot, both by men named Thornton, who were acquitted of the murders in both cases. Sounds fake, right? This story is actually mostly true. We're not going to do a deep dive or anything today. That is not in the spirit of a taco break, which you guys will come to find out. But I am going to give you a quick rundown of the facts. Erdington is a small, working-class suburb of Birmingham, England, with a population of around 20,000. In 1817, it was home to 20-year-old Mary Ashford, a pretty young girl with plenty of suitors. In 1974, it was home to 20-year-old Barbara Forrest, a pretty young girl with a steady boyfriend. On May 27, 1817, Mary Ashford was out dancing with friends in a pretty new dress. After saying goodbye to head home, she disappeared. Her body was later discovered in a muddy pool at Pipe Hayes Park in Erdington. She'd been raped and murdered. Days prior to her death, Mary told a friend's mother she had some bad feelings about the week to come. 157 years later, on May 27, 1974, Barbara Forrest was out dancing with her boyfriend in a pretty new dress. After saying goodbye to head home, she disappeared. Her body was later discovered in a muddy ditch at Pipe Hayes Park in Erdington, less than 300 yards from where the body of Mary Ashford was found. Days prior to her death, Barbara told a coworker, "This is going to be my unlucky month. I just know it." For the 1817 murder of Mary Ashford, police arrested Abraham Thornton, the man Mary left the dance hall with that night and the last person to see her. There was no actual evidence tying Thornton to the murder, and he was acquitted at trial. Mary's brother demanded a retrial, at which point Thornton fell back on some archaic Game of Thrones law and demanded a trial by battle. If he lost the battle, he would be hanged. If he won, he would be acquitted. Mary's brother declined the battle, and so Thornton was acquitted on the trial by combat law. The murder of Mary Ashford remains unsolved. For the 1974 murder of Barbara Forrest, police arrested Michael Ian Thornton, a co-worker who lived near the scene of the crime. Blood was found on his clothing, and he gave police a false alibi for the night of the murder. But this was decades before DNA testing, so there was no actual evidence tying Thornton to the murder because they couldn't prove that blood was Barbara's, and so he was acquitted at trial. Decades later, when DNA testing became a thing, Barbara's sister demanded testing of the evidence in hopes of solving the case. So, no trial by combat in this one, and no updates on the DNA testing that I could find. So, the murder of Barbara Forrest also remains unsolved. So, creepy, weird, a lot of similarities, guys. A lot of similarities between the two cases. A lot of the stories that I've read about the Erdington murders claim that the girls shared a birthday, but none of those articles specify what that birthday actually was, and I wasn't able to find that information either for either one of them. So I'm a bit skeptical about that part. Claims that the girls were killed in the same way are also false. Both girls were raped and beaten, but Mary was drowned while Barbara was strangled. Even claims that they were killed on the same day are not quite accurate, although I can see why people can get it confused. Mary was last seen in the early morning hours of May 27th, and her body was found hours later. Barbara was last seen in the early morning hours of May 28th. Her body was found days later, so they were actually killed 157 years and 1 day apart. Many stories also claim that both girls were killed after Whit Monday dances. Whit Monday is a Christian holiday celebrated throughout Europe. As we all know, I am not religious, so I am certainly not going to try to explain it beyond that. Whit Monday in 1817 was on May 26th, and Mary's body was found the next day on May 27th within hours of her murder. So she was at a Whit Monday dance, and that was the last place anyone saw her. Whit Monday in 1974, though, was on June 3rd. Barbara's body was found the day after Whit Monday on June 4th, but this was several days after her murder. So she was actually killed the weekend before Whit Monday. It just took them much longer to find her body. So both bodies were found the day after Whit Monday, but they weren't both at Whit Monday dances because Barbara was killed a whole week before Whit Monday rolled around. Still, though, two girls, the same age, in the same small town, raped and murdered around the Whit Monday holiday in the same park, allegedly by men with the same last name, after both having premonitions that they were in for some bad luck. If the murders had happened within any sort of reasonable time frame, police would have been looking for one suspect, perhaps a serial killer in the making. But Mary and Barbara were murdered 157 years apart, so no way it was the same guy unless he was a vampire. Could it have been a copycat killer? The Mary Ashford murder was a notorious bit of Erdington history. It's feasible that someone wanted to repeat history. Was it a sacrificial ritual connected to Whit Monday like some locals believed? Probably not. I hope not, Jesus. Otherwise, Erdington would have been looking at a whole lot more dead girls than two a century and a half apart. I mean, Whit Monday comes around every year. Reincarnation? Maybe. That would really suck, though, wouldn't it? To be reincarnated and die the same shitty, violent death the second time around? Yeah, I don't like that theory. Or was it just a really, really weird coincidence? What do you guys think? Find the post for this episode on your favorite social media outlet and let me know. You can find So Dead on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube under So Dead Podcast. My sources for this taco break were an article on mysteriousuniverse.org published by Brett Swanser on April 29th, 2019, and an article from thelineup.com, Find a Grave, and of course my buddy Wikipedia. And I should mention, the very first time I ever heard this story was on an episode of My Favorite Murder. I'm pretty sure Karen covered it. I went back to try to listen to the episode again, and I could not find that episode anywhere. So if anybody knows which episode number that was, certainly send that my way because I want to hear it again. Anyway, that's it. A taco break. Short and sweet. Unlike me, I am just average height and very, very sour. A new full-length episode of So Dead will be out next week, so keep an eye out for that. Until then, keep shining, you magnificent what the fucks.